And I've had these conversations before where I feel like even my generation, which I'm older than you are, because of the introduction of technology, like we came in with like the internet, like, you know, I remember the day that there wasn't internet, and then I remember the day that there was. And now my generation has become so accustomed to communicating through that medium that we've now lost our ability to really authentically connect. Like what I love about my mom's generation, so now we're talking, you know, 20, almost 30 years, you know, older than me, is that she still to this day has friends that just come to the house and just will sit with her and watch like a random game show or whatever. They just come for, you know, they call in, they come for a visit, you know, and some of that might be just like cultural, you know, because we're, you know, Black people, we do this, we visit people sometimes. But I see it much more in the older generation versus, you know, those of us were on our phone or we're just connecting virtually. And we are starting to more and more feel the lack, even though now, you know, we all have to like shelter in place. But people, I mean, the suicide rate has gone up, domestic violence has gone up, all because we don't know how to properly steward our emotions and connect with human beings who we were, you know, the Lord made us to connect with other human beings. And so the fact that you're saying like, that's something that your generation is hungering for, what do you think is like a remedy for that? Like, what do you think is?
Well, one, I feel like we have to turn away from what society and how society has told us, like what they've told us and how we're supposed to connect. I actually wrote a spoken word on this. It's funny.
Listen, we want to hear
social
it.
media isn't social at all. How are you social when you're too afraid to call? But
why are you trying to get on with my business? Stop. We need this.
One of my friends was like, I feel attacked.
I know, exactly. I feel attacked.
Listen. But yeah, I think it's so ironic that it's called social media when it's actually pushing us away from people. And like, we feel like we're connecting, but I don't think that we realize, like on a higher level, like we're not really connecting, and we feel that we feel the distance. And I think honestly, it's just about like putting your phone down and like listening to people and like connecting with people and like making eye contact and just like having real conversation about how you're feeling, about how the other person is feeling, and just actually connecting. Like, yeah. So I feel like because you said that your generation is like in this gear also, and I know millennials are too, but I feel like millennials are almost like the connection between like, because your generation knows how to connect without social media. I feel like at the beginning, we knew how to too, until the social media era like came over and just like took over, because I was in middle school when social media became like a thing. And then when high school hit, it was like on our phones all the time. Right. But like before that, it was like desktop MySpace. Like, you know, like we weren't on it all the time. We would come home
MySpace. Shout out to MySpace.
Shout out to MySpace, the OG. You can customize your page and put
That's right. top 10 friends or top 5 friends, whatever.
Yeah, top
so
10,
mean.
top 5.
So mean.
But yeah, so I feel like my generation knows still how to connect. And I feel like we're kind of that bridge and that gap for Gen Z, because they kind of just were brought up on it completely. And I think, like I said, my generation knows how to connect with people, but it's just about like putting down our phones, putting down like the lies of social media and just like the expectations that social media places on us, and just really like connecting with people. So,
how do you connect with people like in your real life? Like, how do you find like the best way to connect with people?
Talking, honestly. Talking. Yeah, we just talk. No, one of my friends, Victoria, she comes over like literally once a week, and there's always like just this random time. It's never like nothing prompts it. It's not like, okay, we're going to do this, but we'll either be watching TV and we'll just completely disregard the television and just go it off into like a whole conversation about whatever. And we'll be talking for like hours. And Anna usually is in the conversation too. And we'll just be talking about just everything. One time we stayed up till like 2:00 and we were just talking. It got we started talking about like real spirituality and stuff like that. And we ended up praying at the end of it. And it was just like, I felt like a God moment, because like we were just really getting deep and stuff like that about just like life and things and like the spiritual realm of things and how deep things actually go. So that's one way. Me and when it's like a larger group of people, we'll like go out to eat. But I feel like my friends are really good at just communicating like their feelings and things like that without any phones or anything like that, just talking and stuff like that. So yeah,
it's good. Like you said something in there where Victoria just kind of, she pops in once a week or whatever, and it's not like a forced thing. You know, you guys are just kind of, you're just chilling, like you're just stopping by the house. She's just stopping by, maybe, you know, have a movie on, or it can be as simple as that. And then, because I think in the end, we realize we just love people's presence.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, what's being really missed, you know, in this season as we're having to, you know, shelter in place, is you're realizing, you know, even for people that just love sports, being in an arena with, you know, people that are like-minded, you know, appreciate the sport, the presence of that person to the right and to the left of you does something for your soul, and chemically, you know, for you as well. And yeah, I find like you just kind of gave a key for someone who is kind of stuck and doesn't know, like, how do I do connection? How do I do friendship? And maybe I haven't found like the right church yet where, you know, they're nailing community. But I would say, you know, there's something that was said in season 1 by my friend Bethany. You know, it's like, don't wait for someone to call you. You know, it's hard. It's super hard. But like in Proverbs, it says basically, this is my paraphrase, like, if you want to have a friend, go out and be a friend.
Yeah.
And I feel like all of my best and most rich in terms of like deep friendships, not all of them, but a majority of them came because I took the first move. Mm-hmm. But I think that's the heart of God. He's like, I've already moved towards you first. Like, this is not like a one up, like who's going to be, you know, I don't know. Like, cause sometimes we get really petty about like, oh, I don't want to call them because they haven't called me and blah, 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 blah. Or you're just afraid, you know, like they don't really know me that well. And I think too, like you'll find your people. Like you will. Mm-hmm. God's so good at doing it. Like when we are least thinking about it. And it can be as simple as once a week, dropping in randomly, popping into somebody's house, and no agenda. It doesn't need to be for a particular study or whatever. It's just to be in their presence, just to see them. And then connection is actually already started. So I think that was a really good practical key for your generation and my generation as well, to be reminded to step out and to connect in that way.